really pleased that Jamie Murphy can join us today from Gregson Community Association, which is a fantastic registered charity in Lancaster. And what I'm going to do is bring Jamie in. I don't know if Jamie can unmute himself. And I'm going to ask Jamie a few questions just to kind of bring to life more about what their crowdfunding experience has been. Okay, hi Jamie. I can't actually see you, so it's probably on the screen, but anyway.
See you.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, we go. I can see you there. So, Jamie, can you tell us about Gregson Community Association and how COVID has actually impacted the association?
Yeah, I can. I think there's some historical context that's really worthwhile knowing about from a Gregson point of view. So the Gregson Community Association charity is involved in a few different things, but primarily we were bequeathed a building from Henry Gregson in 18 something or other to the community, and the charity was set up to manage that building. Over the years, that building's become a community arts centre, really, with a bar and a cafe area. And since the early 90s, the model that the charity's worked on is that the charity has sat in the background and given that business model over to a private company. So during lockdown, the private company went bust, and the charity made a decision that we wanted to run it ourselves from there on in. And we've been planning that and renovating the building, because the building's been in quite a poor state as well. It wasn't really fit for purpose either. It was very run down. So we've been planning that and kind of trying to organise ourselves to run a business which we haven't really run before. So there's lots of learning for us as far as a charity is concerned, and finding ways of feeling secure in doing that was one of the things that were financially secure, I guess, was one of the things I was tasked to do, and a crowdfunding campaign came from that, really. So yeah, does that answer that question, Larry? Is that enough?
Yeah, I mean, presumably COVID meant you had to shut the building, did it? And sort
of,
the
whole of the building was closed, and the business that was running the building as well. So we have a large hall that's hired out. We have a small cinema that's hired out as well, and function rooms. We've got 2 stages. So all of those things were mothballed, as was the bar and cafe business as well. So everything was closed from the first lockdown onwards. And we've only actually, we opened for hires without opening the bar function about a month ago. So we've now got classes going on again. We've got Ludus Dance Company we're in partnership with, who run youth dancer participation workshops. We've got some theatre going on in there later on in the week. We have Tai Chi lessons, that sort of thing. So kind of community centre stuff, really, with an arts basis. And very recently, because of the kind of money that we raised through crowdfunding, we've been able to advertise for a full-time bar manager. And I've been working as a volunteer, opening the bar at the weekends as a kind of temporary measure. So we have just opened again, really.
Oh, great. Thanks, Jamie. And what made you decide to raise funds through a crowdfunding campaign?
So in my day job, I work as a community development officer, and I've been made aware of crowdfunding campaigns because my employers, Lancaster City Council, were in a similar way to Wigan Council, looking at using some of our funds to support some of our communities. So I was made aware of it from that, and then that gave me the idea to run one for the Gregson Community Association. But the Power to Change, the crowdfunder site, we specifically went for that because of the Power to Change match. So that somebody pointed that out to me, sent me an email, have you seen this? So it was such a good fit for Gregson that there was no point in going with any other crowdfunding platform. It was really an obvious fit for us. So yeah, that's why we decided to choose crowdfunder and Power to Change.
Great, thanks. And how did you go about attracting your crowd then to support your campaign? Obviously with COVID, it's difficult, you're not bumping into each other in the same sort of way. So how did you kind of mobilize your crowd to get behind the campaign?
So There's a lot of planning went into it. So we planned it for quite a long time, actually. But sometimes I thought it was maybe a bit too long. And I was desperate to go live, but we needed the whole of the board behind it before we did go live. And timing is really important, because I think we wanted to make sure that when we finished, there was something tangible for the crowd to see. So we planned a campaign that started with a lot of social media. It was basically all run through social media, and the age group of our clientele, if you like, mainly on Facebook. So the majority, when I look back at the data, the majority of our crowd engaged with us through Facebook, a little bit on Twitter, but mainly on Facebook. We used video, and really kind of, I think that made a real difference, because we tried to use video in more innovative ways. So anybody who I could get to, if I bumped into somebody on the street, I'd go, whip your mask off and say you support the Gregson crowdfunding campaign. This is weeks before I'd just introduce yourself and say you support it. So I had ready, before we went live, I think I had 30 individual people on video ready, and some of them were great and the good. So I emailed a massive contact list of local politicians and musicians. So the Gregson has a real history in putting on music events, and particularly folk music and world music. And being an ex-musician as well, I had a lot of contacts in that world. So I used my contacts, I used my network, and asked them to produce videos, and they produced some fantastic videos. So we had some great music videos, and we were able to post them regularly throughout the campaign. And that really spoke to our particular crowd and our clientele, I think, and showed them what they've been missing for a year and a half, with us being closed, and gave them that incentive to donate, really. And I think that the fact that there was this emphasis on, if we can get to £10,000 and there's 100 of you, we'll get another 10,000 from Power to Change. That really galvanised the crowd and really got people buzzing, really, and very early, because we had a week's run up. So there was a week or and a half, maybe 10 days before we actually launched, where we were putting messages out: something's coming, look out for this, we're coming soon. Those kind of messages to get people interested was really important.
That's brilliant, Jamie. Well, I'm so glad it was I'm not surprised it was a success when you've put all that work into it and certainly mobilise people to get behind it. And I love the idea of building up get people interested before you click live. It's really good. So that's great. And obviously you've mentioned that it helped in terms of having the match funding. It helped in terms of sort of encourage other people to say, well, if you pound, then we can sort of do that. So I suppose, was there any other impact of having the match funding on your campaign? And also sort of finally, has it been anything sort of other wider benefits or impact have come out from your campaign which you weren't necessarily expecting?
I think it created a buzz in the community in general. I think one of the things we also did, and I would advise anybody who knows their crowd well, if you know your crowd well enough beforehand, I think we kind of tapped up people who we knew would probably be supporting us, and timed some larger bids to come in, and really put an emphasis on bids, on donations, and put an emphasis on donations coming early. So we were able to hit the mark very, very quickly, and that really got people excited, I think. And from that, I think we've got more volunteers. We've certainly, so I've been working all last week. I did 35 hours volunteering last week, opening the bar, managing the bar in the Gregson for the first time. It was the first time we'd opened, and it was all run by volunteers. And they were all people who funded through the crowd, and they, so that it has created a wow, this is brilliant kind of effect. And I think we hit our match fund within 3 days, which is kind of, I was quite shocked at that, to be honest. I kind of expected that we would hit it, but it was quite a shocking kind of, and it slowed down after that a little bit, but I think, it was quite an amazing feeling, and it has created a buzz around the whole of the Gregson reopening, and hopefully it will attract people to the jobs that we're now able to put up for people as well. So as I say, we've got a full-time bar manager post just advertised, and hopefully the energy that's been created from the crowdfunding will get us some great applicants for that post as well.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, Jamie, I could chat all day to you, but I'm conscious of time, so we're going to have to move on. But that's brilliant. Thanks so much for coming along today and sharing your experience around that. And it shows, I think, if you put the effort in, that it reaps rewards in terms of that. And I think from a COVID perspective, and as well, in terms of what we're trying to do with the Crowdmatch program, in terms of really trying to help bring communities together again, and can get behind something and have something to work towards, and come in, having a drink in the bar and listen to live music, and it's nice to have something to work towards. So
we have a consultation coming up as well, and I think just thinking about your last question, I think more people will come on board with the consultation. We've written a kind of a visioning document for our next 3-year plan, so hopefully because of the crowd involvement, we'll get more people coming to say how we really can use the Gregson as a community asset. You know, it's a massive community asset in Lancaster, and would be really missed if it had to close. So I think people will engage in that more because of the crowd as well.
Brilliant. Thanks. Back over to you, Jason.
Thank you. That was really great to hear your perspective, Jamie, and particularly some of the wider benefits that we know come through the crowdfunding process. So thank you ever so much for that.